Well, that was ugly. I'm almost speechless. I don't know what to say, man. I just never dreamed that an offense run by Rich Rodriguez would play that bad. I understand it's new players. I understand it's a new roster, and I didn't expect them to come out. I only predicted them to win, 34-21. I didn't expect them to blow Ohio out of the water, but to score 10 points against a MAC team, a good MAC team, but a MAC team nonetheless, is absolutely unacceptable, especially when your defense gives you 3 turnovers. I know at least 2 of those, if not all 3, were inside your opponent's territory, and you still can't score touchdowns off of it. You go 3 and out every single one of those times. We're going to get into what the issues were, in my opinion, based off my post-game reaction. Yes, you will get some emotion here, but that's what these post-game shows are for, right? I thank you for joining, whether you're watching on X or you're watching on YouTube. If you are watching on X, I recommend you please come over to YouTube afterwards, check out my past work, and please subscribe and like and all that stuff. And please hit the like button if you're watching regardless of the platform. But, man, what a game. Let's go ahead and look at the team stats first. I'll do a screen share, and we will West Virginia fans, we will look at this and mourn this loss together. Now, before I say too much, though, I do want to recognize that Ohio is a good football team. Okay, they're not your average MAC team. They are as good, probably, as a lot of P4 football teams. I think they may even be better than some of the Big 12 teams, West Virginia, or some teams in the Big 12 this year, some of which West Virginia may play. I think they could beat several Big 12 teams. But this game, at least on one side of the football, was not even competitive. Not even competitive. West Virginia offensively could not compete with a MAC team. That doesn't bode well for the rest of this season. Now, they're going to get better. I have no doubt about that. But the teams they're going to play from here on out are all going to be better, with the exception of a couple, like I said, are mostly all going to be better than the team they played today. Pitt is better than the team they played today. And by the way, you've got to play these games now probably without Jaheim White, who, by the way, I wish that young man the best. I hope he's okay. I really hate to see him go down injured like that. It was a dirty play. They created the horse collar penalty for a reason. It tears guys' knees up, and players know that. There's no excuse for ever tackling a player by the horse collar. Zero. And it's a dirty play, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I hate it for Jaheim. I hate to see Jaden Bray go out, and another injury for him. We don't know how serious either of these injuries are, but Jaheim's for sure definitely didn't look good. Jaden, we didn't really get to see much of other than him getting carted out. But I hope they're okay. Hope Chase Wilson's okay. We saw him injured as well. Hats off to Ohio. They brought their A game today. They played well. They weren't intimidated. And look, like they showed in this game, Ohio has defeated Power 4 teams in their house before. Iowa State a couple years ago came in and left with an L. So it's not like Ohio cannot compete with these teams, okay? So I want to make sure we don't overreact too much. It's not like they lost to an FCS team. They lost to a very good, legit MAC team who may win 10 games again this year, potentially. So let's not lose sight of that. But it's still a loss to a MAC team nonetheless. And I know the Rich Rod haters are out in full force. The criticism's fair. The doubt is fair. But, guys, we're 2 games in, okay? 2 games into his tenure, and he has said he has admitted they're not going to be where they need to be this year. He has admitted that. Yes, they're trying to win this year, but he has admitted that they are not where they want to be and that it might take some time to get there. He has said that in interviews multiple times. Completely new offensive line. Just, listen, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and talk about these stats, okay? First downs, team first downs. Ohio 24 to West Virginia's 13. Coach Rodriguez's goal every game is to get 25 first downs, not even close to that. Third down efficiency. Ohio 5 of 14, West Virginia 2 of 13. Can't have it. It's not going to work. Fourth downs, Ohio 1 of 3, West Virginia 0 of 1. Total yards, 429 for Ohio, only 250 for West Virginia. And I know 429 is a lot, and the defense did have their moments of weakness as well, but they played good enough to win this game. Passing, 247 for Ohio, 178 for West Virginia. Navarro was 22 of 31 throwing the ball, which is really good. High percentage, 8 yards per pass. Did throw 3 picks, though, like I mentioned. West Virginia has got to capitalize on those turnovers. And we all saw Nico throw that interception late in the game, or in the fourth quarter, as he was getting hit. I don't really put that interception on him. Just as a fan watching the game, I didn't put it on him anyway. But nonetheless, it's there. Rushing, 182 yards by Ohio, 72 for West Virginia. Once Jaheim White was out of the football game, the West Virginia's ability to run the football pretty much went with him. They are not deep at all in the running back room, apparently. Not sure what's going on. Why is Dior Hubbard not playing? I guess Clay Ash is obviously the second best running back on that roster, or at least he has been through camp and through practice. And no, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to that young man at all, but he's very small and he's not all that fast to be a powerful running back. He's tough. He's gritty. He can get you some tough yards here and there. But going from Jaheim White to him is a huge fall off, in my opinion. And losing Jaheim was a huge blow to this team. They weren't playing that great anyway, but losing him just made it even more challenging. Now, assuming Jaheim's going to be out for a long period of time, Clay Ash and some of these other backs will get more reps at practice now, more reps with the first team as well. So maybe they have a bit more semblance of a better running game going forward with those backups than they did today. They held Nico in check running the football. He wasn't able to get anything going on the ground. Jalen Henderson came in, did a little bit better, but still not enough. But anyway, so therefore West Virginia only got 72 yards rushing on the day, 2.6 yards per carry. 8 penalties for 85 yards, a little better than Ohio, who had 10, but still 8 penalties is still a little too many. They did have the 1 interception, did not lose any fumbles this week, and only had the football for 17 minutes. Now, the hurry-up offense is exciting and it's fun to watch when it's working good, but when it's not working good, it can be an absolute albatross around the neck of your football team, especially on your defense. The fact that West Virginia's defense was actually able to play better late in the game when they had been on the field for 40 minutes says a lot about that side of the football and the grittiness, the toughness, the no-quit attitude in that defense. And the conditioning they have as well. Got to give them credit for that. And to Zach Alley and his staff. It was amazing to me they were able to play as well as they did late in that game and hold Ohio to 0 points in the second half and get 3 interceptions. So hats off to the Mountaineer defense. Look, they did have their struggles in the first half. They missed a lot of tackles on Parker Navarro. He made the West Virginia linebackers look silly on a couple of occasions when they come up and didn't look like they didn't even attempt to break down the tackling. They were just trying to run at him. You can't do that, especially a guy like Parker Navarro. You've got to break down and get in your proper tackling stance. But he made them look silly, as he will do to a lot of teams. Parker Navarro is a P4 level quarterback playing for a MAC football team, okay? He's a very, very good football player. But West Virginia, I think, had a pretty decent game plan on him, but they were not executing it in the first half. Second half, they did execute it. Parker Navarro, the one weakness in his game is he will turn the football over, and he did that today. But again, West Virginia's offense came out of it. If they had scored 1 touchdown off of those 3 turnovers, it would have been a tie football game, right? But they didn't, because you can't go 3 and out on a interception deep in the other opponent's territory. Can't do it. Cannot do it. I mean, they didn't even. It's just baffling to me how they can be so bad on offense. Atrocious. One of the worst offensive showings I've seen in a long time, and I'm sure there were some last year that would probably go up there, the Texas Tech game, for example, at the end of the season. It basically looked like the worst games under Neil Brown, basically. I have to go all the way back to 2019 the last time that we saw an offensive line that struggled this much to get push. Now, I have faith they'll get better. I have faith they're going to work hard. I have faith that the offense we're seeing today is going to be totally different than what we see by the end of the season. I have faith in that. But guess what? The competition's also going to get tougher. So I don't know. Maybe my 6 wins expectation was a little high, but I still think this team can win some games later down the stretch because we've seen Rich Rod teams usually get better as the season goes. So I'm holding out hope that they're going to be able to reel off a couple wins late in the season that we probably didn't expect them to get, okay? Let's keep that hope alive. But today, on this day, September 6th, 2025, the offense was atrocious. Point blank. There's no other way around it. O-line didn't look good. Quarterback play didn't look good. Running back play outside of Jaheim White didn't look good. Receivers struggled to get open at times. It was just not good. It was just a bad performance all around. Maybe there's just some magic in that Peden Stadium. I don't know. But again, Ohio played well. They tackled really well. They had a great game plan to stop this West Virginia offense. Got to give them some credit. They did play a good football game. So it's not all on West Virginia playing poorly. You have to give some credit to Ohio playing well also. It's just hard for us as fans sometimes to see that side of it, right? Because all we're focusing on is a team we cheer for. But Ohio came ready to play. They were not going to take a back seat to this Power 4 football team. And they showed that they can compete with just about anybody today, at least in their minds. Now, let's go ahead and look. Let's go ahead and look at some individual performances as well. So I'll pull up the box score and we can look at that. West Virginia passing the ball. Nico Marchiol was 15 of 26. You know, I don't guess it's terrible, but you'd like to see better. But only 178 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. Jalen Henderson was 0 of 2. To me, he didn't look very comfortable passing the ball, but, he didn't have a ton of snaps either. So, that probably played a role in it. Didn't have time to really get comfortable. He did look a little better than Nico running the ball, but he still didn't. I mean, he didn't. I mean, they still went 3 and out when he was in the game. So, did he really do that much better? Obviously not, because they brought Nico back in. Now, a lot of fans were clamoring for Scotty Fox. I get it. And I'm sure some of you in the comments, which I'll get to in a minute, I'm sure a lot of you in the comments are going to ask me about Scotty Fox or talk about Scotty Fox. Here's my opinion about Scotty Fox, okay? I think he's the future of the football program. Yes, I'd like to see him get in some games this year, but here's the risk. You saw how many West Virginia players were getting hurt in this game, right? You bring in a true freshman quarterback in that situation behind an offensive line that's struggling to block people. He's like a sitting duck, and I know he can run the ball. Scotty Fox is not necessarily a speedster, though. He's probably faster than Nico. I'm not sure he's any faster than Jalen. So would he really have helped you that much in the run game? Now, the passing game, I'm not sure. Maybe he would have. But if you bring him in the game, A, you're opening up risk for him to get injured early in his career, which could derail his career. And remember, Rich Rod's in this for the long haul. This is not just a one-year deal here, right? You've got to think long term. 2, if he plays bad, even if it's not his fault, if he has a bad game, it can hurt their confidence. You hear college football coaches talk all the time about dealing with quarterbacks is kind of a fragile thing at times, because you don't want to hurt their confidence, because it can derail them the rest of the way. Even if they're talented physically, it can hurt them long term, right? Mentally, and affect their play. So I'm not sure bringing a true freshman into this game today would have been the right move. Just my opinion. So I was not necessarily. Now, if they had brought Scotty in, I would have been excited about it to see how well he did. But I think from just looking at this from trying to be logical about it, take the fan out of myself for a second. I think that probably wasn't the right game for him. Now, I would have liked to have seen Jalen come in the game earlier than he did. I thought they should have started the second half with him taking the snaps, is what I thought. I understand not bringing him in late in the first half. You go in the locker room at halftime, you adjust, you let Jalen know, hey, we're going to bring you in to start the second half. You bring him back, and do that. It's a halfway point of the game. It's basically like starting over and having second half. You treat the second half as a whole different football game, right? I was hoping that's what they would do. They chose to bring Nico out for, I think it was 2 drives to start the second half. Then they bring Jalen in for a couple drives. Didn't work, so they bring Nico back. I don't know, man. Rich Rod was just trying to do what he needed to do to win football games. And Shane V's got a great point. And I thank you for posting that, Shane. And by the way, you see the badge beside his name. That means he's a paid VIP member here on the channel. Shane V says, for Fox broke a 59-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter against an FCS team after resting the entire game. That is not a reflection of his abilities. That is true. Now, I do think Fox has great abilities, even throwing the football. But again, he's still a true freshman. We got to remember that. It is extremely, extremely rare for a true freshman to be able to come in and compete at a P4 level right out of the gate. Extremely rare. Only the best of the best have done it. I think he did get 2 drives, Veritex, didn't I? I said that, I thought. Nico got 2, Jalen got 2, and then Nico came back. Pretty sure that's what I said. If I didn't, that's what I meant to say. Anyway. All right, let's go back to the box score here. Jaheim White, 7 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown. He was having a pretty decent game, despite not having a lot of push by the O-line. Rodney Gallagher, the third. Couple jet sweeps for 18 yards. Nico carried it 11 times for only 9 yards. Jalen Henderson, 3 carries for only 4 yards. Clay Ash, 4 carries for 2 yards. My gosh. I'm really worried about the running game going forward, y'all. I really am. Jaden Bray, 4 catches, 69 yards. Cam Vaughn, 2 catches, 43 yards. Preston Fox, a catch for 20 yards. Clay Ash, 4 catches for 20 yards. Rodney Gallagher, a catch for 12. Oren Singleton, 1 for 9. Jaheim had a catch for 3 yards, and Grayson Barnes, the tight end, had a catch for 2 yards. Ohio's box score. Parker Navarro, 22 of 31, 247, a touchdown and 3 picks. He was also the leading rusher. He had another good big day on the ground, 18 carries, 87 yards. C.A. Bongura, 20 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. They kept the running game pretty much in check outside of Parker Navarro. But again, Parker Navarro was going to get his yards today, y'all. He was going to. We knew that coming in. You're not going to completely shut that guy down. And you know, you gave up 17 points to a team who just put up 31 a week ago against Rutgers. It should have been enough to win the freaking football game, man. There's absolutely zero excuse for West Virginia's offense scoring only 10 points. Zero. All right, now I'm getting aggravated now. All right, Chase Hendricks receiving, caught 8 passes for 121 yards. He had another big day. There were some coverage breakdowns by the defense, you know, especially in the first half. Max Rodarte had caught 3 balls for 46 yards for Ohio. You look down the list there, C.A. Bongura, Caleb Gossett, all had 3 catches. Pugh had a couple. Mason Williams, the tight end, had a couple, and Duncan Brune had a catch. The Ohio defense had 4 sacks and 7 TFLs on the day. I mean, you just can't win a lot of games that way. West Virginia's defense had 3 sacks and 6 TFLs, so right behind them. Darian Lewis had a pick, Ben Cutter had a pick, and Chase Wilson had a pick for the Mountaineers. But again, it all boils down to me. Offense was not able to do anything, primarily because the O-line was not able to get push. They weren't able to give the quarterbacks enough time. And then, let's be honest, Nico missed on some throws too, and so did Jalen Henderson when he was in. The quarterbacks had some opportunities that they missed. And there were a few times that I felt like the receivers didn't get open as well. So, I mean, there's enough blame to go around here, but in my opinion, most of the blame to me, 75-80% of the blame to me goes on this offensive line. Now, we knew coming into the season it was going to be the biggest question mark because of all the new bodies, the guys not having played together yet. It was going to take some time, but, man, I didn't know it was going to be this much of a struggle. Paul Gee says Henderson or Fox should be the starter. Justin Graham says it's going to be a very long season. I still don't think – I don't know that – I don't know. I got mixed feelings on who should be the starter. I still think Nico's the best thrower of the group. But, man, when you have a bad offensive line that's struggling to block people, you've got to have a quarterback that can either run away from it, or a quarterback that can keep them a little, maybe keep the defense on their heels a little bit more because you know he's a threat to run the football. Nico was not a threat to run the football as bad. So defenses can just key on stopping the running back, which was usually Jaheim. Now you don't even have Jaheim. So now what do? Do you turn into a passing team? Now then they just drop back and play zone and drop 8 guys, 7, 8 guys. They drop 7, 8 guys and make you run. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Jaheim's injury is as serious as it looks and he's out for an extended period of time. I'm going to be anxious to see, A, is Clay Aston a long-term solution there? And B, what do defenses do? How do defenses play West Virginia? Do they now force them to say, hey, okay, you don't have your star running back. We're going to make you run the football. We're going to focus on stopping Cam Vaughn and hopefully Jaden Bray, assuming his injury is not serious. We're going to focus on stopping those guys, and we're going to make you beat us running the football. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think they can without Jaheim White. I really don't. I mean, the fact that Jaheim White had so many carries last week against Robert Morris told me that they did not have a ton of faith in their backups. Because that game was still close in the first half, if you remember. And they didn't want to take a chance on losing it. So they had to leave Jaheim in probably longer than they wanted. So I came out of last week's game thinking, I'm not, and I probably should have done a video on it, but I didn't because I was trying not to be overly negative. But I came out of that game concerned that the depth at the running back position was not there. We'd heard good things about Dior Hubbard all spring. Where's he at? Ty Edwards, he was cleared to play. Where's he been? Is he not as good as we thought he was going to be? I don't know, man. It's just really, that's why I think, even though I still think Nico might be the better option, if you don't have anybody that's back there that's a threat to run with the football, I'm not sure. I don't know what you do. Do you convert a receiver into a running back? Do you put Oren Singleton back there or something? I don't know. They obviously don't have a lot of trust in Sincere Bowers because he only got 1 carry today. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. Rich Rodriguez has a tough job ahead of him, especially if Jaheim's out, because he's going to have to patch some holes in a sinking ship that's got a lot of holes to patch. A lot of holes to patch. And I'm not sure you have the Band-Aids or the glue or whatever metaphor you want to use, the plugs. I'm not sure you have the plugs to patch them with. I'll just be honest with you. That's my concern. That's my concern. I'm not even going to talk about the Pitt game. I'll be covering that all week. We'll be doing a lot of shows on the Pitt game, but that game right there now scares the crap out of me. I'm going to be in Morgantown next weekend. I'm still going, but I'm speaking off emotion a little bit here. But there was a time during this game I was second guessing, should I even go to this game next week? Am I going to drive to Morgantown again and watch my team get throttled like I did last year against Penn State, and I regretted going to the game and dropping all that money on it to watch my team get absolutely boat raced? I don't want to spend my hard-earned money to watch my team get freaking boat raced again. I don't. I'm sorry. But I might have fun at the tailgate. Had to throw that in. All right. Got a lot of people on here. Got 762 people in here between X and YouTube. Thank you all for joining. If you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching this live or if you're watching it on the playback, please hit that thumbs up button. YouTube is really starting to pay close attention to shows and channels that get a lot of likes, a lot of interactions, a lot of comments, those types of things. Really goes a long way. So I ask that you please do that for me. We've got Henry of Scallots in the house, who's a new VIP member. He says, major O-line problems. You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. Let's go ahead and jump in here. See what comments we got here. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody. Let's see. Jake T's in the house, another VIP member. He says, this offense is ridiculous. 3 picks from the defense. Couldn't have asked for better play from them. Just to sell out the entire game. Absolutely unacceptable. Agree. Totally agree with you. Tim Oliver says Nico and the QB does not fit the running Rich Rod scheme. Tim, a lot of people agree with you, man. He was able to make it work last year at Jacksonville State, but I think Jacksonville State had a better offensive line obviously it's based on the level of competition they were facing. They had a better offensive line for him to run behind, right? This team, like I said earlier, if you've got an O-line that's struggling to block people, you got to have a quarterback that can make plays on his own, a dynamic guy. Nico's not that guy. I'm sorry. I love Nico. I think he's probably the best thrower, but it don't matter how good a thrower you are if you can't throw if you're on your backside or you're having to run for your life all the time. It doesn't matter how good of a thrower you are. And now if you don't have a run game to support that, oh my gosh. It's going, man, this could get, I'm trying not to be overly negative, but this could get really ugly, guys. I'm telling you. It could get really ugly. Jake T. Nico is too slow to be the dual threat QB Rich Rod wants. WVU Fan 13 says, I tried to tell everyone last game who said we were awesome. This team is not as good as everyone thought they were. And that's fair. T Jinx 048 says, we definitely have a QB problem, but the main problem is the O-line. They were getting shoved around so bad. Ohio's D-line could have been wearing Ohio State jerseys, and it would have been believable. Yeah, that's a great comment. And, I go back to the comments Rich Rod made in the offseason about he told Phil Steele this was the deepest quarterback room he'd ever had. Ever. He said in press conference multiple times he's got multiple quarterbacks he can win with. So either A, he's pulling our leg, and it's using complete coach speak, which I don't think is the case. Or B, they just don't have any help. They don't have any help. And I think that's the case. I think if you give Nico plenty of time to throw the football, receivers who can get open, and a good running game, I think he could be an absolute all Big 12 type quarterback. But unfortunately, you don't have that. You've got an offensive line who's struggling because they've never played together. And who knows, maybe at the end of the day, they end up not being that good individually. I don't know that yet. I just think it's a gel issue. And let's face it, they're not very experienced either. The only one with a lot of experience was Walter Youngbear, and all of his experience was at Tulsa. All the P4 guys that transferred over that are starting, or the ones that were already on the roster, had played limited snaps. So they're just now figuring it out, right? The game's probably still moving a little fast for them. It will slow down eventually. But, man, you cannot get dominated that bad if you're a Power 4 level football player. You can't. Not against Ohio. Like T. Jinx said, if it was against Ohio State, I might believe it. But not Ohio. And I'm sorry to Ohio fans. Again, you have a really good football team, but man to man, your players should not be. That's a very well-coached football team. I got to give a shout out to Ohio. Their coaches are good. They had a great game plan. They had their guys motivated and ready to play. And they played a heck of a game. Got WVU Fan 13 in the house. Nico is not an accurate pocket passer. Rich Rod offense does not fit with Nico. I disagree with that. I think he is. Is he accurate 100% of the time? No. But I do think he's accurate enough to win with. But I just don't think he's fast enough to play behind this offensive line with the other players he has around him in the offense. That's just my opinion. And I'm not trying to crap on Nico either. I'm just looking at the whole totality of the football team and saying when you're trying to fit all the puzzle pieces together, what pieces fit together, I don't think Nico, right now at least, is the best fit. I think you give Jalen a try, maybe Scotty Fox a try, maybe Max Brown's healthy again. I don't know. But you've got to try somebody else to me. Maybe you don't do it next week against Pitt in the first half. That might not be the right time to try it. But if things start going south next week against Pitt, I think you've got to have a shorter leash on Nico, and you've got to put somebody else in there. After one or two series, if you see he's not getting it done and you see the offensive line's not going to be able to help him out, you might have to go a different route. All right, let's see. Man, I think you guys, the chat room is lively after this one. Got WV Fan 13 again, says, again, we played better second half against Robert Morris, but it was Robert Morris, and that's fair. I think I had a super chat roll in too I need to address here. Let me get down to it. Man, guys, I wish I could get to every comment. You guys are awesome. I just can't do it. It's not possible. Got too many. All right. They're rolling in faster than I can get to them. There's a super chat. Civil Mark WV, thank you, brother, for the support. He says, to help reimburse you for the money you're probably going to waste and next weekend, have some whiskey for me at the tailgate. And I definitely will, Mark. Thank you very much, brother, for the support. I appreciate you. But I got those tickets. I'm going to use them. All right. I got Crystal in the house, Veritax, who I mentioned earlier, Brad Boo, got Russell Snyder in the house. Says Pitt will definitely be better up front than Ohio. Maybe. Ohio was pretty darn good, but Pitt's going to be better, I would say. Pitt's, guys, I hate to tell you, but Pitt looks like a pretty darn good football team right now. Bourbon Crazy, another VIP member, says Nico is accurate and is fast enough, but he's not quick. That's a fair take. Says if the O-line is going to be an issue all season, we need someone who's quick and slippery. Agree. And I'm not even sure Jalen Henderson is quick and slippery. I think he's more of a straightaway speed guy. Do we have that guy behind center? Is there a quarterback on the roster that's quick and slippery? I'm not sure there is. I've not seen the other guys play enough to know the answer to that question. But John says to give one good takeaway. I felt like I have, but you may have just jumped on here, John, so I'll give another one. My takeaway is this. If Jaheim White's injury is long-term, this is one of my takeaways. If Jaheim White's injury is going to be long-term, which it appears it might be, West Virginia is going to struggle to run the football probably for most of the season with an O-line that's struggling. So it's going to be tough to generate offense probably for the rest of this year. The defense is going to have to play elite all year long. They're going to have to turn some of these interceptions into 6 points. You're going to have great special teams play. And Rich Rod is going to have to figure out a way to work some of his magic and pull a rabbit out of a hat. Go back to the days when he was at Glenville State and was able to take a team with arguably limited talent and do something that nobody else was doing. But can you do that today? Has everybody already figured all that out? Let's see what else he's got in that coaching mind he is. I still think Rich Rod is a great offensive mind. I've called him an offensive genius, and I still believe that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the players to do what you need done, it doesn't matter how smart you are. They're just not going to do it. You're going to get outmanned. Like they say, the Jimmies and Joes are better than the X's and the O's. Now, I don't give him a pass because he's the one who picked the Jimmies and the Joes, right? I've always said on this channel, recruiting is 50% of the job in college in sports, in college football. It's 50% in college sports overall. It's at least 50% of the job. So a coach gets credit when you recruit good players, and you got to get the blame when you recruit guys who aren't working. And right now, a lot of the guys aren't working. But again, we're 2 games in. A lot of things it's a 12-game season. There's still 10 games to go. This team can still get better. I said all along this could potentially be a trap game. I don't think that's the case. I think they just aren't very good right now. But who knows? They could go out next week and play great and beat Pitt, and we're all sitting here next week singing a different tune. So, who knows? Maybe that trip to Ohio was just a tough trip to make. I don't know. There's a lot of things it could be, but all I know is they didn't look like a very good football team today, at least not offensively anyway. Let me see. Shane V says it is not a QB issue. It is an O-line issue. This line would make Tom Brady look bad. Changing the leadership because he is not being protected is the wrong answer. And that's a fair take too, Shane. And that's what I like. That goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Playing with managing the psyche of a quarterback is part of the coaching job, right? It's a tough job to do because if you ruin the guy's confidence, he's never going to play good again, ever. We've seen that happen with NFL players who's come out and they get drafted by a bad organization who can't protect them. And he has no receiving help, no running back help, and he ends up getting stuck and it derails his whole entire career. That can happen to college quarterbacks too. Let's not forget. So you do not want to put a quarterback in a situation where you strip all of his confidence away. Y'all, Rich Rod has coached some really good quarterbacks in his day. Pat White, Denard Robinson, Khalil Tate, Matt Corral. Just there's one at Arizona that's escaping my mind, but you get my point. Rasheed Marshall. He's coached a ton of good quarterbacks in his career. He knows what he's doing when it comes to that. So let's, I think he knows a good quarterback when he sees one. And if he thinks Nico can win, then I trust him. But personally, I just think it would be cool to see a quarterback who can run away from the pressure. But again, if the pressure's coming at you from all sides, I'm not even sure that does you any good, If there's not going to be much of a running game to help Jaheim out or to help the quarterback out because of Jaheim's injury, then you may have to, and you're going to have to rely more on the pass game, then Nico may be your best answer. So it's just, and you better get good at pass blocking, It's going to be it's really going to be a tough challenge for Rich Rod. But you know what? I think he knows that. He may have even expected it, Who knows? Once this show's over, I'll probably go back and watch his post-game presser to see what all he had to say. So I look forward to hearing what he had to say. Let me go back, and I have some more super chats to get to here. We've got John Waffle, H2P. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. He says, imagine laughing at a team losing to a MAC school, then lose to a MAC school 13-9 is Rich Rod's legacy. We laughed at you because you're a rival, bud. That's what rivals do. Bourbon Crazy, but thank you for the support, man. And, I guess your comment's technically not wrong, but that is not going to be his legacy. Neither is this game going to be his legacy. He's got time to fix it. Bourbon Crazy says, on the bright side, the defense is much improved. Very accurate. Got another super chat from Young Mallard. Thank you for the super chat, Young Mallard. He says, Marshall's 1970 team could have played better. Embarrassing. I don't think I'm going to go that far, Young Mallard, but you make a fair point. It was definitely a rough go of it offensively. I don't want to throw – the defense struggled some in the first half. But second half, they came out and played a fan – I mean, they shut them out. What else can you ask for? You shut the other team out in second half. You give up 17 points to a team who a week ago almost doubled that total against another Power 4 team. So and that was and this was in their own stadium. I hate to put any blame at all on this defense because they played good enough football to win the game. Period. Offense didn't support them. It's called complimentary football, right? We've got Big Dan T in the house. He says Henderson has shown today he cannot throw the ball. If they go to someone else, it has to be Scotty. Yeah, Shaggy of WV also, a VIP, says you would have to be a glutton for punishment to go to that game next week. Well, I'm a glutton for punishment because I'm going. All right. See, I passed over let me see if I can find my other super chat here. I think there was 3 of them. There it is. WVU Fan 13. Thank you, brother. He says, I'm drinking whiskey now because I spent all that money for next weekend's game. If nothing else, enjoy the weather and tailgating. To salvage any kind of a season, we have to beat Pitt and Kansas. 4-1 is better than 1-4. And, crazier things have happened, right? Maybe, and let's be hypothetical here. Let's try to maybe this is pie in the sky, or maybe it's just me trying to be optimistic. But let's just imagine for 1 minute that Ohio happens to be very, very, very good. And let's imagine for a minute that West Virginia is not as bad as they played today, and it was just a kind of a fluke game. And let's imagine they come out next week and play much different and much better. That's possible. And let's imagine that continues at Kansas 2 weeks from now. That's possible. I'm not expecting that to happen necessarily. I do think they'll play better next week for the simple fact they're at home. And I think they'll try to play up, and I think they'll play a little bit up. I don't want to say up to their competition because that's disrespectful to Ohio. But they're going to be so up. I think they'll be up for that game because of the rivalry and They know it's a Power 4 team coming into their house. I think they'll be up for that. So I think they'll play better just from that alone. But I'm still not sure. They're going to be able to pull off 2 wins against them and Kansas both. That'd be a tough ask, in my opinion. I think it would, unfortunately. Bourbon Crazy with another comment says, it's hard to blame them when they have to recruit 70-plus new players they have to depend on because everyone left with the coach change. I agree at Shane V. It's not Nico's fault. Again, I'm not blaming Nico either. I just question whether or not he's the right fit for Rich's offense. That's all I'm questioning. It's not that he can't throw the ball or can't play the quarterback position. It's just with what he has around him, can it all work together? That's my question. South Florida beat Florida. See, West Virginia's not the only Power 4 team losing to G5s or G6s. And by the way, South Florida looks like a very, very, very good football team this year. I've got I might say this for a whole nother video, but I'm starting to wonder is the gap between the Power 4 and the G6 getting narrowed because of the transfer portal and NIL. It's great food for thought. Shaggy of WV, when does basketball season start? Sometime in November is all I know, brother. Sometime in November. Clint Moses in the house. Luke Bryant in the house. Jake T says, let him talk all the trash he wants as long as he's going to give you money to do it. That's right, Jake. That's right, buddy. Big E says, we just didn't take advantage of the mistakes Ohio made. Exactly. Ohio turned it over 3 friggin' times, and West Virginia got zilch out of those turnovers. Not even a field goal, I don't believe. Ranger Buck says at least it wasn't Marshall. I don't know, man. I mean, they're equal to Marshall, right? Basically. CEO of the Sofa says that first game against Robert Morris was an utter waste of time. We have extensive problems, and none of that was apparent after the RMU game. Well, some of it was probably apparent to the coaching staff, CEO of the Sofa, so it probably wasn't to us, but to the coaches who have that all on tape and sit and watch the film and break it down piece by piece, play by play. I'm sure they saw a lot of these things, probably, especially once they sit down and watch the tape of Ohio. But I will tell you this. They got an even – and of course, in all fairness to your question, we did hear some of the coaches, I think, kind of iterate that in their press conferences that, hey, we'll know more this week as we play better competition. They did kind of allude to that. So your comment is actually accurate, I think, now that I'm thinking about it out loud. I've heard the phrase, Neil Brown used to say this a lot. Teams get better, usually improve the most between week 1 and week 2. I'm not so sure I agree with that coming off a game against an FCS team. I think you will improve more. I think we will see more improvement, or at least have the potential to see more improvement next week. But the problem is, will we actually see it now that you've got Jaheim and maybe even Jaden Bray both out? It might be harder to see the improvement, if that makes sense. Raven in the house. Thank you, Raven. Bill Sheets. Kim Germondo. Chris Garnes. Keelan. Bourbon Crazy says the D played good enough to win, and they were stuck on the field most of the first half, so can't put any blame on them. If anyone doesn't want to go to the game next week, I'll take your tickets. Yeah, they were on the field for 40 minutes. The defense was 40 minutes. Out of 57 minutes of play between offense and defenses, because special teams is part of that too, they were on the field for 40 of the 57 minutes. You can't win games like that unless you're putting up points and you're making big explosives. But if you got 10 points on the board and you were only on the field for 17 minutes, something went terribly wrong. Biggie, we need more billionaires. I saw somebody in a comment. You got that right, Brad Boo. Big E says you have to lose to learn how to win. That's a glass half full approach, Big E. That's a glass half full approach. By the way, doing this show with you guys helps me get over the game faster. I'll be honest with you. Appreciate you all jumping on here with me. Chris D in the house. He says we won't win another game this year. It's a wrap, y'all. Pitt will beat us 55-0. I'm so irritated and done with this team. Yeah, man, I feel your pain. I was feeling it during the game, but I'm not ready to throw in a towel yet, man. We're 2 games in. 2 games. And I think Ohio's better than what some of us realize. Now, maybe Ohio goes out. Now, Ohio's going to play Ohio State next week. So they're not going to look that good next week, right? But they could run through their league potentially. I'm telling you, I think Parker Navarro is as good a quarterback as you'll see. I think the guy, I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback, but I think he's one of the best college quarterbacks West Virginia may see this year. And that's saying a lot because they have to play Texas Tech and Utah and Colorado and TCU. I'm not saying he's better than those guys, but I think he deserves to at least be in the same conversation as them. I think he's that good. I really do. The big weakness in his game, he turns it over too much. He did that today. But West Virginia's offense was so sickening, they couldn't capitalize. Sickening should be, I think I just got my new thumbnail title, Sickening. Chris D says, I'm having a real hard time being positive about anything right now. Sorry, it's okay, man. That's part of the reason I like doing this show. It gives us all a chance to vent and get our frustrations off our chest. Big Dan T says, I put money on USF to beat Florida, so at least I have that. Big Dan T, great call, man. Great call. Pick USF to beat Florida. Great call. And they do have 2 top 25 wins, Chris. You're absolutely right. Raven said, we couldn't convert, Raven. You're absolutely right. Could not convert to save our life. Jacob Harrison, Patrick, Green Wolf. Sorry if I miss anybody in the roll call here. Shane V. I live 800 miles away from Morgantown. I get to watch WVU live every 2 years at UCF. I would love to be in Morgantown next weekend or any other home game. Be grateful for what you have. Shane V. Great outlook, brother. Chris D says, our O-line is far worse than I thought. I agree. Browns and Beers in the house. Couz, do love you, the show, but I am wiping the high drive tonight. Have a good one. I think he might have, I don't know, either I misinterpreted that or he's got him. I don't know what he means, but thanks for tuning in, brother. I think he might be at the game and maybe having to drive home. I'm not sure. Trick No Good says just score 3 points for each turnover for the defense and we win the game. Offense sold them. Yep. Chris D says he would go with Fox at quarterback. Nothing to lose now. Well, man, we got to realize they haven't played a Big 12 game yet, y'all. Let's calm down and realize this team has not played a Big 12 football game yet. Now, if they go out and get beat, if Kansas crushes them, which they very well could, Kansas looks very good right now. If Kansas crushes us in that first Big 12 game, then I might agree with you. But right now, there's just still too much to play for. Still too much to play for. It won't be an empty stadium against Pitt next week, Chris. I don't think. Maybe it will be. But I think, it'll take us 24 hours to calm down and get over this win. And then everybody will be, right back to talking trash to Pitt fans and ready for next weekend. Maybe I'm being naive, but I think that's true. Browns and Beer says he hates everything, appreciates the space to vent. Hey, man, no problem. Appreciate you venting here. I do. I appreciate you tuning in. WVU Fan 13 says offensive play calling was horrible. We have no deep or even middle pass scheme. Didn't Rich Rod say he has the best slot receivers he has ever had? This actually looked like Neil Brown play calling. Yeah, you're not the first person to mention that. And I even had that thought cross my mind a little bit. But here's my take, and maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe I'm drinking the Rich Rod Kool-Aid too much. But here's my thinking. I think he's trying to call plays. When you have an offensive line that's not holding up, man, I think it limits what you can do. And if you're dropping back and trying to throw the ball down the field a lot, and your quarterback has no time to throw, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I think he's going to call plays based on what he thinks his guys can execute. And right now, this is totally my take on this, my takeaway here. I don't think he has enough faith in the team right now offensively to feel like they can execute much else. That's just my because the offensive line's not blocking good enough. Quarterbacks are not throwing the ball as accurately as they probably need to be. And I also think the receivers are probably not doing a good enough job getting open in a lot of cases. So, I think, again, I don't think we can it's hard for us to see that watching as fans because we're not seeing the whole field, right? The camera zooms in on the camera's not usually zooming in on or they're not zooming out rather, so you can see the receivers running the routes and everything. But I know on a couple replays they showed, when they showed the zoom out view, the receivers weren't open. Nico had nowhere to go with the football, and it led to a sack or him trying to tuck it and run and couldn't get anywhere. Is he holding the ball too long? That's possible too. There might be times he's waiting too long to make that decision. I think the clock in Nico's head may need to get a little faster, potentially. That is one area I see that he might be able to improve. But again, I'm not a coach. I would love to hear Rich Rod's take on that. Hopefully somebody will ask him about that in a media session or something. UC Fez in the house has agreed. John, same thing with UCF. We struggle to beat a Jacksonville State team who just beat Liberty. People need to get off West Virginia and UCF's asses. It's a total joke. God bless you, Couz. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Bourbon Crazy says Nico seemed hesitant to run in the first half. The one drive we were 3rd and 4 and looked like he could run for it, but stood so long trying to throw for it. The D closed up all the gaps. And that's kind of what you and I are on the same page, Bourbon Crazy, because that's kind of what I just alluded to. There might have been a few of those times he held the ball too long. Rich Rod just took responsibility and looked defeated, I'm assuming is what you meant to say. John Kelly, with the glass half full, man. At least we fixed the fumbles. Ha ha. Well said, brother. Well said. Let me see. Big E says you're correct, Couz. Chris D says, I think that was a catch by Cam down the 3. I think it was too, Chris. That's a great point. That was a catch in my book, but here's the problem. They called it incomplete on the field, and I did agree with the announcers. I think the replay, it was a bang bang play, and I don't think the replay was what's the word they like to use, definitive enough to overturn it. Because once the call's made on the field, you have to have definitive evidence to overturn that, right? I just don't know that it was there. So I do think the call was wrong, though. I do think it was wrong, but they should have never been in that situation. But man, here's one takeaway. They've got to figure out a way to get Cam Vaughn the football more often, because he's the one guy on that team that can flat out make a play. Every time he touches the football, he has the opportunity to take it to the end zone and make a spectacular play. They've got to figure out a way to get him the football. Miss Cam wide open on the sideline. He absolutely – and now, see, people were – I thought to myself after that, I think Nico would have made that throw. I really do. I think if Nico had been in the game on that drive, he completes that pass. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he completes it. And I think Rich Rod might believe that too, and that might be why he put Nico back in the game. But again, that's a total theory on my part. It's all fixable, says Big E. Chris D is talking to, let's see, you guys. I love all the conversation in the chat. 412 Pitt says, all jokes aside, that was a catch. LOL. Thank you. Even a Pitt fan agrees it was a catch. And look, regardless of what happened in this game, I'm still looking forward to next week. I'm already planning to do a show with JJ Kitchen, the annual guest I have on to talk Backyard Brawl. We're already planning our show for this week. I'm going to go be a guest on some other people's shows, talk Backyard Brawl. Now, let me touch on this real quick. I would venture to guess College Game Day is not coming to Morgantown next week, okay? I would venture to guess that. So I wouldn't get my hopes up on that, okay? First of all, let me put that clear, because I don't think they're going to want to go to this game when they can go watch Georgia and Tennessee play. I look for them to go to that game instead, and quite honestly, I don't blame them. West Virginia did not show enough today for me to earn that game day appearance. That's something you need to earn, in my opinion. They didn't earn it today. Is QB room open, in your opinion? Garrett, it's hard to answer that not being at practice. But based on what I saw today, yes. I still think it should be an open competition only because of what I said. I think a quarterback who is faster and quicker gives you a better chance to win behind an O-line that is not blocking well. I do still think Nico's the best passer of the bunch, but I'm afraid he's not quick enough to get them out of a jam when things are getting tough and there's nowhere to go with the football. I'm not, he's not like Parker Navarro, for example. We need a guy like Parker Navarro who can make plays with his legs when things break down. West Virginia right now doesn't have that guy, in my opinion. Bourbon Crazy says, I was kind of hoping game day wouldn't come. Have we ever won a game when game day came to Morgantown? I know of two in the last several years, in recent memory, I should say, and they lost them both. One was the TCU game. When was the other one? Did they come to one of the Pitt games, maybe, that we lost? The LSU game one year, I think they were there. We lost. Big E says, I think we need more tunnel screens to help with the bad O-line. You know what? I don't know if you're joking or not, but in all honesty, I do think that's part of the plan there. I think that's why they throw so many screens. And there were a few times I felt like he should have thrown the screen more today that he didn't. But again, when you've got guys barreling down on you, trying to get you to the ground, it's hard to see anything and hard to do anything. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Thank you, Chris, for that reminder. Please hit the thumbs up button. It pushes this show out to more people, helps me grow, hopefully helps more people see it. Whether you're watching on the replay or live, it all helps. And even if you're watching on X, reactions on X help too. Helps get my X account out to more people and helps more people find the Couz's Corner brand. And if you're watching on X, again, I ask that once the show's over, please come over to my YouTube channel. Check out my shows, my past live shows. Once a week, Jonathan Martin and I do a Gold and Blue breakdown show where we recap last week's game and then look ahead to the following week's game. This week's episode should be really good. That normally comes out on Thursdays at noon Eastern. So be on the lookout for that show. And I also have some other cool things in the works. I am planning to do at some point, I haven't decided which night of the week yet, but let me go ahead and throw this out there. I am going to plan on doing a special show where you all call in and leave a voicemail for me, and I answer the best ones live on a show. And that number that you call, let me go ahead and find it. Let me see. I think I've got it here somewhere. It's going to be Bar Talk is the initial name I came up with. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that name, and I'm just using this as a placeholder there. But it's basically going to be where you call in, leave me a voicemail, and I'll answer the best ones. But I'm trying to find I thought I had the number here somewhere. Here it is. If you have a question for me, call it in or just want to if you want to rant or vent about this game, call the number 304-712-9347. Leave a voicemail. I will play some of the voicemails, the best ones. I will play them on a show. Obviously, if you're a paid VIP member on the channel, I will do my best to address yours first. You will get take precedent. All other callers, I will just pick the best ones that I feel like make the best show and read them on the air, live on a show, hopefully, or at least a show of some sort. So again, leave me a message, a voicemail at 304-712-9347. And one day this week, I have not determined what day of the week this will happen yet, but I will answer the best questions or take the best calls, the best messages, play them and address them on a show. Wanted to remind you about that. Want to give a minute to shout out Appalachia Digital, the designers of the website, wvsportschat.com. Thank them for supporting our work here, for supporting the work over at WV Sports Chat. If you want someone to design your site, they do a great job. They can also help, if you already have a site, they will help level up the site you have, help you get found easier on Google. They help with Google SEO, all that. And also, I have a brand new sponsor here on the show that I want to give a quick shout out to. Those are the fine folks over at DraftKings. We'll give them one more shout out and then I'm going to call it a night. This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and college football is now in full swing, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Couz, that's code Couz, C-O-U-Z, to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses. Get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Opt in for single-use token. Minimum 3+ legs and minus 500 odds per leg. Max bet varies. If only one leg of the bet loses, bet will settle as if only the winning legs were placed and pays out in cash based on odds when the bet was placed. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. All right. Thank you for letting me get through the housekeeping there. And thanks to the folks over at DraftKings for supporting our work here and being a sponsor. I do have one more super chat that came in. Mr. Jake T, thank you so much, sir. He says, great stream as always, Couz. Thank you, Jake. Could not do it without folks like you and all the fine folks here in the chat. Again, I appreciate your support. Please don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Couz's Corner if you're just now finding me for the first time. And follow me on X at Couz206. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. And even though today was not the day, today was rough, I will always cue country roads.